I was raised in a country with the constitution that comes from Sharia. And I was also raised in a family where my father was a sheikh, which is a higher step than an imam. And my mother was a teacher of Quran. I'm not going to give you too much details about what I went through. I just give you a quick, short version. By age 9, under the law of the country, which is Sharia, I was called a full adult woman. By the time I reached my age 14, I was arrested over 12 times and put in prison. And you need to notice, because I was an adult at that age, there was no juvie, so I was put in prison with real adult criminals. I was lashed over 100 times. I was raped, I don't know how many times. And by the time I reached my age 14, my father decided that I was too much of a troublemaker. So he said, it's time for you to be somebody else's problem. So he sold me to a man. They called it marriage, but later on I learned that I became a child bride. The man who purchased me was very confused, I guess, because he looked at me as a punching bag. So if he wasn't beating me, he was raping me. If he wasn't raping me, he was beating me. I tried to get a divorce. That wasn't possible because under Sharia, as a woman, you do not hold the right to get a divorce. So I managed, with the help of my grandmother, to escape. I was smuggled out of the country, went to Turkey, became a refugee, went through legal process, waited my term until I was accepted to America, and I came here back in 2002 and started becoming an American. And I can tell you officially, as of 2010, I am a very proud American citizen. Thank you. Now, when I did come to America, I was given one promise, and that was freedom. The reason I came to America was because of the freedom I could have. Now, I'm sure you notice, nowadays we don't really have much freedom. But after studying the culture of America, laws, regulations, and the Constitution, I came to realize my freedom comes from the Constitution of the country, which I always said is the best Constitution ever. I'm no expert when it comes to our Constitution, don't get me wrong, but I've done enough research and study because I wanted to know my freedom. I studied the Constitution good enough to know what we have and what we don't have. Today, as I stand here, we don't really have our freedom because we are not actually practicing our rights. It's not that we don't have them. We still have the Constitution. Problem is we're not actually practicing it. We have millions of women marching the streets of this country asking for women's rights. When you ask them, what is that right you're lacking, they can't give you an answer because they're not lacking any right as a woman. I did.
There you go.
As a woman, I was considered a half a man, half a person. My testimony wouldn't be considered a testimony unless it was two of me if there was a man testifying against me. At age 9, I was a woman. Right there, children's rights don't even exist. Now, we could say, well, that's another country with different constitution, different law. You know, their problem. It's bad. We feel bad for them, but for their problem. And lucky you, you survived, you came here, you have your freedom. But here's the problem. People I ran from followed me here. They are right here. Now, why do I have a problem with that? Because they're not here to become me. They're not here to be proud American citizen. They are here to destroy our country, get rid of our Constitution, and take away our freedom. And let me tell you why. This isn't because I had a couple of bad experiences with my daddy. No. Here's why. What is our very first amendment? Freedom of religion is the first clause of our First Amendment. Under Islam, if you're not born a Muslim, or if you were born a Muslim and you left Islam, your punishment is death. Right there, freedom of religion don't exist. However, we are letting them practice their so-called religion, where to their eyes, we don't have the right to not be a Muslim. What's the second clause of our First Amendment? Freedom of speech and the press. Under Sharia, if you say anything that is a disrespect to Allah, Muhammad, supreme leader of the country, punishable by death. Here's your freedom of speech. If you want to release an article, you have to go and get actual authorization to publish what you wrote. If it goes against anything of Sharia, you're not going to publish it. If you decide to break the rule and publish it, you can get up to 7 years in prison for doing so. Our First Amendment, we can do what we're doing here, right? Peaceful. Under Sharia, you do not have the right to gather more than 5 people, only men. You cannot gather in one place talking about anything unless it's related to Sharia and approval of Sharia. Again, on the First Amendment, I have the right to petition the government, right? Under Sharia, you do not have the right to question Allah, Muhammad, or Sharia. If you do so, punishment is death. Right there, with one amendment, can anybody here tell me that we can coexist with Sharia?
No.
And don't take my word for it. Look it up. Read the Quran. Read the Hadith. Read the Sunnah. Look at the Constitution of Islamic countries. All of this is right there.
So people are trying to punish her and kill her.
In this country, based on our Constitution, if you commit a crime, you have the right to a lawyer. Under Sharia, your lawyer can go to prison with you for defending you. Because if a lawyer is defending you, then he is agreeing with you. In this country, you have the right to speedy trial and a jury. Under Sharia, there is no jury, there is no trial. There is an imam who's going to sit there and judge you. And that imam will judge you based on Sharia again. If your punishment is already mentioned in Quran, okay. If not, if Muhammad faced such a situation, then good. If not, the imam will put 2 and 2 together, compare notes of Quran and Muhammad's life, and will come up with a decision of what's your punishment. Now, you don't see the real Sharia today because they're not big on numbers yet. If you read the Quran, if you read the Hadith, if you read the Sunnah, it will tell you that Sharia is always superior to the law of the land and any law made by the man, right? So at some point, if we don't fight for our freedom, which means stand for our Constitution and practice our rights, we are going to lose it. I understand how easy it is for everyone to say, not gonna happen, not on my watch. Let me tell you something. Iran used to be known as Persia. Look up Persia. Has 2,700 years of history. You really think if it happened there, it's not gonna happen here? We are literally a baby compared to Iran. The reason it did happen to Iran is because every Iranian stood by and said, not gonna happen, not gonna happen, not gonna happen until it happened. And there was no way to go back. Now in Iran, when it happened, it was literally the Islamic movement versus people of Iran. Don't forget, here in America is the Islamic movement added to the left against true Americans. So there are two enemies working together to take us down. So far, for example, Second Amendment. Do we really have our Second Amendment at the moment?
No.
Where on the Constitution does it say that I need a permit to have a gun? But guess what? We all bow to it. We go get the permit and then get the gun. If that is not, let's say, California, because that doesn't even apply there. So, yes, the right is sitting there, but as I said, we're not practicing it. And on top of that, we are letting the enemy, who are here to turn this country Islamic, use it against us. They are hiding behind First Amendment. And a lot of us walk around and say, hey, it's their right to practice any religion they want. And I agree with you. But then we have the problem of Sharia. Sharia isn't a religion. Islam is the religion. Sharia is the law of Islam. Translation is Islamic law. So as soon as we let them practice Sharia, right away we are forgetting that in this country, based on Constitution, but they are practicing it for Allah. Thank you. So here's where the problem begins. I come from it. I suffered under it. I survived it. And I came to this country actually very happy and hopeful. And like, yes, I'm going to go make a life for myself and enjoy life. Well, that didn't happen because at some point I realized, oh, forget it. I got to go back to where I was because now I have to wake people up here in America. I do it out of love for America. I've said it before. I will say it until the day I die. America saved me. If it wasn't for America, I would not survive. I would not even have a chance. But my question is, do you all think that she deserves to be saved? Because if you think, then you all need to stand up. Don't worry about being labeled. I've been called Islamophobe more than count. But here's the deal. Under Islam, I was raped, I was put in prison, I was lashed, I was sold to marriage, I was a sex slave. My fear is not irrational. When they call me Islamophobe, I move on. When they call me a racist, I move on. Based on freedom of speech, they are free to say whatever they want to say. I actually get criticized a lot because it's like, you're offending them. Well, duh. I have the right to be offensive and you have the right to be offended. I'm practicing my right and you're practicing yours. So this isn't high school. This is a matter of the future of our children. I never want to see any little girl to go through what I did or what millions of little girls are going through in Islamic countries. I'm not doing this because I hate Muslims. No. I do this because I love humanity.
Yes.
Bottom line is, problem is Islam. Solution is our rights, our constitution, and our freedom. Stand up for your rights, practice your rights, and don't let anyone, based on constitution of our country, don't let anyone tell you you don't have the power, because we the people have the power.
Amen. Oh, I have 10% battery.
Every time somebody tells you that you're hateful,
What I do?
tell them, you might look at me
hit a
as
bad
hateful,
button.
but I love my country so much, I will die for it. Not just say it, do it. I have 10 bounties on me. 10 bounties. 7 out of 10 were issued inside United States, just so you know. I get this question all the time. Aren't you afraid? Well, yes, I am. Am I gonna let my fear control me? No. Am I worried they're gonna get me? Am I worried they're gonna kill me? Am I worried they're gonna blow me up? Yes, I am. But my life as an individual is never worth more than millions of innocent people. Now imagine if every single one of us would believe in this. Imagine if every single American would stand up and say no. Say, I will not let a foreign law be practiced in my country. I will not let a single woman be killed in name of honor killing. In average, 2,400 honor killings are taking place every year in America. When was the last time you stood up for one of the victims who was killed? And that's where the problem starts. If it isn't in my backyard, it isn't my problem. Listen up. America is your backyard.
Yes. Yes.
America is your land. America is your blood. Fight for it. Because God forbid if they take over, it's too late, and sitting and regretting it is not going to solve the problem. My people in Iran have been suffering for almost 40 years. Between 2013 and 2017, based on the report of Registered Office of Islamic Republic of Iran, over 178,000 brides were registered under age of 15. Imagine, just imagine, if that was about to happen to your daughters or your granddaughters. Because when they do take over, you're not going to pay the price. I was born after the revolution and I paid the price. So please, when you leave, remember, I am real. Everything that happened to me was real. Thanks to America, I built myself back up. Thanks to our Constitution, I can stand here and talk.
Yes.
But when you leave, don't forget, the only reason I'm doing it is because of America. And I'm asking you to do the same thing. Remember, race, sex, color, beliefs, faith, we're human. We all have our basic rights. But now imagine how blessed we are that on top of that, our Constitution gives us some extra ones. Do you really want to lose that? No. Then speak up. Stand up. And before I leave, here's the last thing I want to tell you. Just because somebody was born here doesn't make him American. Just because somebody came here later in life doesn't make him a foreigner. I learned in this country, apparently, the only way you are a true American is when you stand tall and stand by your flag and your Constitution, and you do not take bullshit from anybody.
Amen.
So be American. Much. Stay cool, and hopefully next year, same time we'll see you.
Amen.